VOPTV. Keep watching.
Welcome, my name is Zika Davis. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, boys, viewers, everybody, boys and girls. This is VOPTV. Do you know what that means? Voice of the People TV. You don't have a voice, don't come here. You better make sure your voice is heard.
VOPTV. Now, you have more than a voice.
Hi, my name is Kwekumali.
Voice of the people. You can hear me now. My name is Patrick Doyle, and I wish that you continue to echo the voices of the people. Big up VOP TV.
My name is Suibifa Dokubo. Please.
Hi, my name is Kwekumali Ikenda Onyekwena, and I am with the Voice of the People TV. Now, if you're looking for the veritable channel for information, politics, robust discussions, you don't need to go far. VOP has you. VOP will always have you. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Patrick Diabwa, aka Ibani Chuka, Amayanabo the Eagle King, and you are watching VOP TV. Stay with us.
Well, hello and welcome to News Hour on Voice of the People TV. I am Vivian Oguche.
And I am Nenna Ndomdioto. Before we begin the news, kindly visit our website www.vop.ng for fresh and trending news. Here are the headlines. Tinubu sets up committee to roll out new tax laws.
Appeal Court dismisses Nnamdi Kanu's case against DSS and AGF.
Appeal Court reserves judgment in Akpabio Akpotudua's case.
Uniport student gets death penalty for killing girlfriend.
Troops kill dozens of terrorists, arrest 57 and rescue 45 victims.
An army promotes 28 major and 77 brigadier generals.
On the foreign, St. Trump stops third world immigration after guard murder.
Business news, NUPRC opens 50 oil and gas blocks to investors.
In sports, Galatasaray confirms the seamen for Fenerbahce clash.
Well, in the world of entertainment, Two-Face says his first son, Nino, is not interested in following his footsteps. Now the news in detail. President Bola Tinubu has approved the formation of the National Tax Policy Implementation Committee to oversee Nigeria's new tax laws ahead of a fiscal overhaul starting January 1, 2026. The committee will be chaired by tax expert Joseph Tebe with Finance Minister Wale Edun, providing oversight, and Okoli serving as secretary. Members include Ismail Ahmed and Rukaya El-Rufai. President Tinubu says the committee is central to his administration's economic renewal strategy.
In another development, the Court of Appeal in Abuja struck out the appeal filed by a pop leader, Nnamdi Kanu, ruling that it lacked merit and had become academic following his November 20 conviction for terrorism by a federal high court. A three-member panel held that Kanu's complaint about violations of his fundamental rights during detention in DSS custody were no longer applicable, since he has now been sentenced to life imprisonment and remanded in prison. Delivering the lead judgment, Justice Bolokuromo Moses Ugo noted that with Kanu currently held in Sokoto prison as confirmed by his lawyer, the court could no longer order his transfer to Kuje prison, which he had sought while in DSS detention. Justice Ugo added that Kanu had previously indicated preference for prison custody, and having now been convicted and moved there, his request could no longer be granted.
Still on a legal note, the Court of Appeal in Abuja has reserved judgment in the appeals filed by Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan and Senate President Godswill Akpabio. Akpoti-Uduaghan is challenging a lower court ruling on her suspension, while Akpabio is contesting the court's decision that invalidated her 6-month suspension. A three-member panel reserved judgment after hearing arguments from both sides. The lower court had ruled that the suspension was unconstitutional, excessive, and violated the senator's constituents' right to representation.
Still on court matters, a Rivers State High Court in Port Harcourt has sentenced Damien Okoligwe, 400-level petrochemical engineering student at the University of Port Harcourt, to death by hanging for the murder of his girlfriend, Justina Otuene, a 300-level biochemistry student. Okoligwe was found guilty of killing Justina in October 2023 at his residence. Delivering judgment, Justice Chinwe Nwosu said prosecution proved the case beyond reasonable doubt, confirming that Okoligwe's actions directly caused Justina's death. Okoligwe was arrested in 2023 after neighbors raised the alarm over his attempt to dispose of Justina's body, reportedly for money ritual purposes. Police first opened his door following complaints about a foul odor and discovered a bag containing Justina's dismembered body. Prosecuting counsel Charles Obediah Mbamba raised the court, saying justice has not only been done, but seen and felt to be done. Justina's elder brother, Osata Waju Twene, described the judgment as well-deserved and comforting for the family. The defense lawyer declined to comment.
Moving on, Nigerian troops have killed dozens of terrorists, arrested 57 suspects, and rescued 45 kidnapped victims nationwide in 1 week. Major General Michael Onoja, Director of Defense Media Operations, said the troops also recovered arms, vehicles, and ammunition while dismantling criminal networks. In the northeast, Operation Hadinkai killed several terrorists, arrested 11 collaborators, and rescued 8 commuters. Under Operation Fasanyama, troops killed bandits, arrested 15 suspects, and rescued 13 victims across 6 states. Weapons, vehicles, and 4 million naira were also seized. In the North Central, troops killed extremists, arrested 11 suspects, including terrorist Umar Idi, and rescued 19 victims. Delta Safe troops in the South foiled all theft worth over 173 million naira and destroyed 11 illegal refineries. In the Southeast, Operation Udoka rescued 5 victims, arrested 7 criminals, and destroyed terrorist hideouts in Enugu. Major General Onoja praised the troops' professionalism and urged continued public support and intelligence sharing.
We now move on to Edo State, where the government has intensified its crackdown on illicit drugs, arresting 7 suspects, including a breastfeeding mother, in coordinated raids across Uromi, Obiaja, and Auchi. The operations, triggered by fresh intelligence, disrupted major drug hotspots, with authorities vowing increased surveillance as the crackdown continues. Correspondent Rhoda Johnny reports.
The Edo State government has arrested 7 suspects, including a breastfeeding mother, during coordinated anti-drug raids in Uromi, Obiaja, and Auchi. The suspects were paraded in Benin City after task force operatives moved into identified drug ops based on credible intelligence. The Commissioner for Public Safety and Security, Honorable Festus Ebia, said the operation led to the recovery of several illicit substances and disrupted ongoing drug distribution in the affected communities. He also noted that the suspects are being profiled and will be handed over for the prosecution.
Our young men and women are getting themselves in harm's way and equally putting a lot of our citizens, especially the youths, in harm's way. But we'll find out that they don't do these things with their naked eyes. They are under the influence of various kinds of drugs. I cannot really begin to name their names. I hear Kulos, I'm hearing Loud, I'm hearing Balloon, I'm hearing there was one that looks like a spray. They call it gas. And all sorts. So we went to Eastern Southeast, we went to Eastern Northeast, we went to Esako West, and we brought these people here, and this is why we have arrested them. We will certainly take them to the appropriate authorities to profile them, and if need be, charge them to court, as the case may be.
As the state continues actions aimed at limiting the circulation of hard drugs, Chairman of the State Task Force, Michael Anieto, stated that the raids will be sustained with more surveillance planned for drug-prone areas.
It was easy for us to achieve because the Commissioner for Public Safety and Security was fully involved. I advised them the moment they hear this on air, those involved should quit because wherever you are, we surely get to you. There is no hiding place for them. In as much you are in Edo State here and you operate this, we must get to you.
I don't know that the state governor was into this drug business, that it is not good for the state. And
I say Malikush. Malikush. Loud. Only loud. Only loud.
They just catch me, say because I'm selling nylon. That's why they catch me. That is my statement.
In Benin, Rhoda Johnny, VOP TV News.
Rhoda, thank you. Well, in the southwestern part of the country, security stakeholders from Oyo, Ogun, Lagos, and Osun states have in the meantime assured residents and travelers of safety on highways and border areas during and after the Yuletide. The assurance came after the 5th annual security stakeholders meeting at Person University on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, Ogun State. The meeting brought together security chiefs from the 4 states, including special advisors on security from Oyo, Lagos, and Osun states. Oyo and Osun, Oyo and Ogun state security advisors Fatai Woshini and Olushola Subero announced the expansion of the committee to include Lagos and Osun. They said the meeting reviewed last year's security measures, harmonized activities, and re-strategized to strengthen protection for residents and visitors during the festive season.
Elsewhere, former Anambra Governor and Labour Minister Chris Ngige has recounted an attack on his convoy by unidentified gunmen. The attack, which occurred while his aides were returning from an errand, left a woman dead and his police orderly shot in the leg with his rifle and uniform stolen. Ngige spoke to newsmen during a visit from Labour Party 2023 presidential candidate Peter Obi, who came to commiserate with him at his Alo home in Indemili South local government area. Ngige said the aides had been ambushed while returning from errands, including taking a vehicle for maintenance.
And away from that report, the Nigerian Senate is urging the federal government to review firearm laws to allow responsible citizens own guns as insecurity worsens in Kwara, Kebbi, and Niger states. Citizens are reacting with growing frustration, calling for stronger security measures and faster government action to tackle the surge in kidnappings and attacks. VOPTV's Matthew Gunswada reports.
The Nigerian Senate has called on the federal government to review the country's firearm laws to allow responsible citizens to legally own guns, citing the escalating insecurity across Kwara, Kebbi, and Niger states. The call followed a motion titled Urgent Need to Address Escalating Insecurity in Kwara, Kebbi, and Niger State, sponsored by Deputy Senate Leader Senator Lola Ashiru. The motion highlighted recent attack on schools, worship centers, and rural communities, including the November 18 attack on Christ Apostolic Church in Kwara State, where 2 worshippers were killed and 38 others abducted. While commending President Bola Tinubu for cancelling foreign trips to personally coordinate security responses, senators stressed that Nigeria's firearm laws should be updated to reflect current security challenges, similar to over 175 countries, where responsible citizens are permitted to legally own guns. As Voice of the People TV, we are on the street to get citizens' opinion on this proposal and to understand how Nigerians feel about rising insecurity and the potential legislation of firearms for self-defense.
In this country that we have, the security aspect in this country is not well tightened, and I believe with individual, there are things that we can actually do to stop the issue of insecurities.
Whenever we see any suspect or any strange movement, we need to report the issue to the security officers. And again, people can no longer go anywhere they like free. The farmer cannot work in the farm, and they are carrying children from the school. Government, they need to do something.
They've known all these things before. It's now the right time for him to declare anything. They are just deceiving us. It's not proper. They are killing us up and down. Even now, they've now come to Kwara. Even all these Okada people where they ride Okada, they are terrorists, not bandits. They are just using that one to cover their eyes, so that if anything happens, they will just rise against the Yorubas. Even the whole Nigeria, Hausas don't have mouth again. So it's better they do something reasonable at a reasonable time.
I think it's a welcome development if we go for state policing. I think that should help us in terms of security. Let every governor be in charge of their states. Then if something happens, a governor cannot give authority to the commissioner of police. They want to first of all get instruction from their IG. So I think let's get a state policing. That will definitely help us.
As insecurity continues to rise across different parts of Nigeria, the Senate call for the review of the firearm law has sparked debate between public safety and citizens' right to self-defense. For now, communities are on edge, and all eyes are on the federal government to see how it will respond in the coming days and weeks to come. Matthew Oguswada, reporting for Voice of the People Television.
Thank you very much, Matthew, for that. Still in the news, the Nigerian Army Council has promoted 28 Brigadier Generals to Major General and 77 Colonels to Brigadier General. Lieutenant Colonel Apollonia Nele announced the promotions in a statement. Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Y.D. Shaibu, congratulated the officers and urged them to demonstrate exemplary leadership, inspire their troops, and develop innovative solutions to Nigeria's security challenges. He also emphasized that their loyalty to the Constitution and commitment to defending the nation's territorial integrity must remain absolute.
Well, joining us virtually to analyze news hour is Chijoke Oji. Chijoke is a public affairs analyst. Chijoke, always a pleasure to have you join us.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Yes, welcome aboard. So for starters, President Bola Tinubu has approved the formation of the National Tax Policy Implementation Committee to oversee Nigeria's new tax laws ahead of a fiscal overhaul starting January 1, 2026. So let me pick your brains a little bit, right? So it's going to be a total overhaul of Nigeria's tax laws. Which of them would you want to see overhauled? Number one.
Every aspect of the taxing to date has been extremely very faulty. And it's also going to be a very tasking one to see them wriggle out of it, because the thing is that we have continued to see the marauding, merry-go-round taxes, including the continued, would I say, fifth-wood taxation on even the salaries we earn, because you pay the pay as you earn from the point of where the employer pays the employee. You pay additional. In fact, everything that an individual expenses on, you pay taxes directly or indirectly. And in most cases, the worst part is the direct taxations. One would expect that if the government is genuine to address this, let's even start with Lagos State. Wait till today is still, like a no-go area, when the transportation system, because of the persistent taxes from now recognized called Agbero, that next has always brought about hikes in the cost of transport fares. And one would argue this to say, if you come to the center, the multiple taxations that happens at the federal, at the state, the road taxes, for instance, let's even look at or weighing the most common taxes, like when you bring in products and services into the country. At the point of entry, you pay taxation. Before it even leaves the wharf, you pay taxation. You pass from one point to the other, just like what those who bring in food stuff, even within the states, pay taxations at every state. But when you get into each of the states, you have other local government tax brackets. You have another level of taxations. You get to the unions, you have another level of taxations. You get to the, these are endless and mindless, continued, exacerbations that have continued to make goods and services extremely unaffordable at the end of it all. And the most agonizing aspect of it all is that there's even non-remittances of all of these taxes collected in most cases to the federal or to the state or even to the local government. Take a look at the common scenarios within most local governments where private individuals are contracted to collect the taxes on behalf of the government. In most cases, we now have a formula. They say the government gets one in every 1/5 collected by this individual. So that means an individual collects 15 naira. Just 10 naira goes to the government, while 14 naira goes to the private individuals. And in most local government, it has been operating for this for such a long time without any form of accountability or even any form of transparency behind it. And all of these things has continued to bring about, lack of fruition in any of the services or goods, because these tax burdens have always, discouraged businesses from triumphing, or in any way, because of this overtaxation, kills businesses. Now, the government has set up a committee. But before they set up the committee, you have enacted a tax law that the current administration intends to implement from next year. So one would have expected all the necessary taxes, including the value-added tax services, and be able to appropriately place them on the right hierarchy of what Nigerians ought to be paying, without us having these continued double taxations that have continued to cripple services. Now, in some cases, some governments or previous governments have come to say, if you did not declare a profit at the federal in excess of 25 million, you're not entitled to paying taxes. But what about other forms of taxes already being paid by these individuals? In most cases, you have taxes like urban and rural taxes. All of these it's not as if you don't have these implementations in other countries. But what is the difference? Is the level of transparency to paying of these taxes and the administration of the taxes. The one thing is to pay, another is to see the taxes actually being utilized for the goods and services. we believe that if the government, for instance, that has continued to project currently with the messages flying around of the IGR rising in excess of over 4 trillion. Now, just a few days ago, NNPC came out and said it has paid in over 4 trillion or more than that in just 1 quarter alone, or in about a year. If the government alone has in excess of over 8 to 10 trillion as an IGR generated, then why is the government still in the excessive and abusive borrowings? Because it does not translate to the demands and supply. If you said you are getting enough generated IGR, why then go to borrow when it costs us so much to fund the repayment and management of these loans, which is not bringing Nigerians the needed succor, especially at this dear time where everything in Nigeria is losing the grip of management and administration, and especially in the areas of infrastructure, where the government is not showing concerns to even protect these infrastructures when we have spent so much money on them.
Okay, if I hear you clearly, you're saying this tax is like, taxing Nigerians more that are already being taxed, right?
It's part of it. But the thing is that if indeed the government is set to actually make progresses on it, why set or forge ahead on an implementation you intend to do from January 1st, and then only to come back and set up a committee now to begin to review the things? It simply meant that you've always done this same mistake of acting first before setting up the needed criteria to determining and evaluating, the needed and the essential services that should, be taxed. For instance, look at the current situation with regards to our electricity consumptions that has constantly been, rising on each basis. And then, of course, each on it now, we continue to have heavy burdens of taxes on it. And each time projection is done, it is done with the intention that the services will improve. Has the services improved? The answer is no. If these have not been working, why do we continuously aim or think that these things can, achieve the whatever set goals that this administration or previous administration has set, to achieve? One thing Nigerians need to realize is that it is not just about taxing the general populace. It's about ensuring that there's adequacy, and in cases when these revenues are generated through taxes, that there is the complete transparency in the usage of these taxes.
Yeah.
Is it the same taxes that we're generating that is now being abused by these individuals in political powers that continue to amass and wastefully showcase to Nigerians, what is doing with the acquisition of, mindless and boggling properties and cars and all kinds of abuse, loiters and movements around. I was just watching a few days ago of a minister who loaded how many Nigerians from Nigeria to say he's going to Sierra Leone to promote what? And we ask ourselves, these are the same wastages of the common resources, the taxes, the same taxes we are looking at how to generate. Some ministries are busy wasting it without any form of recourse or recount or even accountability to the nation.
Yeah,
there must be just for the expenditures before it takes place.
I want us to land on this, but there's something germane that you said, right? That Nigeria does not have a monopoly on taxing its citizens. It's done in other climes, but there is transparency. That's what I hear you say. I think that's pivotal. Yeah, but in another development, right? The Court of Appeal in Abuja has struck out the appeal filed by IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu, ruling that it lacked merit and had become academic following his conviction for terrorism by a federal high court. Now, Chijoke, this particular case that was struck out by the appeal court was the one Nnamdi filed against the DSS DG, the Director General of the DSS, and the Attorney General of the Federation, is bordering on human rights violation. This does not mean there's not going to be an appeal on his conviction for serving a life sentence. Is that it? I don't know if you understand this.
Yes, even though I'm not a lawyer, but I think we can all comment on this now that at least for now, it's said that the trial has ended. And in this case, the request that was initially raised to the court to address was on the issue of his in the area of detention, where He has, for several years, clamored to be transferred to the correctional facilities because he felt that within the DSS facility where he's been held, his fundamental human right was completely being, denied, or in most cases waived. He wasn't having access to the legal teams, which would be different than the correctional facilities. And then he wasn't also having access to his families, which would also been different under the correctional facilities. So I see and also understand that what the court has said is also within the same jurisdiction. That if an individual had been convicted, before the said response can come from the court as to the determination, as to his quest, it can be said that the conviction stands above because already now he's been convicted. Assuming it is still, the trial is still pending or still being attended by the current court, then would have said, this could have paved the way. But a lot of people have seen this as to be more political than, following the due processes. Because ordinary one will ask, why does it take so much to hear an appeal, that has dragged on for such a long time, especially when he bothered on his fundamental human rights? We must understand that as a nation that seeks to bring in foreign investors in any capacity, we must look at the fact of all, the rule of law must be supreme. In every society where there is a question as to the violation of the fundamental human rights of the individual, it definitely infringes and also does not give or paint that nation in a limelight for an environment open for business. And that is why Nigerians must rise above all boards to see this beyond the sentiments of region or tribalistic or in any form, and understand that the projection before represent all of us as a Nigerian, irrespective of whether you're in diaspora or you're currently in Nigeria. What matters to us is that we must always at the same time request for and ensure that the rule of law must stand supreme and that every one of us must all be equal before the law. These are some of the fundamental principles that every nation ensures to address before it can begin to look at being recognized amongst the League of Nations, especially in the rule of law, which is very, very fundamental. So we understand that based on what the court has said, yes, the ruling as regards his conviction supersedes that earlier request to be moved into the correctional facility, where in any way now he's actually, but under a different circumstance, he has been convicted this time around.
Okay, let's still on legal matters. The Court of Appeal in Abuja has reserved judgment in the appeals filed by Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan and Senate President Godswill Akpabio. Of course, Akpoti-Uduaghan is challenging a lower court ruling on her suspension, while Akpabio is contesting the court's decision that invalidated her 6-month suspension. What do you make of this back and forth?
It's just abuse of legal process and a complete waste of time to Nigerians. The fact that even the current Senate President continues to drag this, who is right and who is wrong, without us even hearing the main matter of accusations. We have not heard an outright refutal or a counter sue in any situations where it is definitely onerous that whoever alleges must prove. The individual in the case of in the person of Natasha had alleged a very serious offense that Nigerians at all corners of the earth should be demanding for a proper open investigation and hearing to this. In fact, as a matter of fact, being the position that the Senate President occupies, one would have expected him to have been reacting on those accusations, because this is a complete tarnisher of an individual's image, if he has any. And let us not forget that image is everything. So if we talk about in the person of Akpabio today, we're talking about his image. So if indeed they are leaving the primary matter to determine that has already completely been, passed at this stage, because it's obvious that when the court will rule, I don't want to preempt the court, but the court now will be determined on a rightful matter that has been set aside because she has resumed preliminary and representing her people at the upper chamber of the House. So will the court now be saying that she will be due for apology or the main matter that is completely before the people of Nigeria as regards the issue of sexual assault, and all sort of allegations that were put out there that were extremely very dirty. Let us not forget that this is the image of the same nation that seems to be seeking the not just interventions but investments from other well-to-do nations. If we don't keep our house in order, do not be surprised on the kind of perceptions that other nations weigh into us as regards even having to do any form of affiliation or partnership with us, not even talking about bringing in their own money or investments into the country. We're looking at that. If the persons who are charged at the highest reputable office as regards the office of the Senate President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which is a very serious allegation that was put before, and it's made an open submission with regards to the whatever had happened in between all of them. Nigerians will be more concerned to hearing the truth behind all that are taking place, not on regarding the issue of her suspension, which I feel at the moment should have been completely concluded by now or set aside because she has resumed plenary. And that should have been the most important thing as regards whether her suspension is still not being lifted or now that she has been allowed to resume back her legislative duties. Will the court now be determining for a compensation, which I haven't seen, but we'll wait and see how this all plays out. Now that the court has actually set out a date for judgment, we hope and would hear a fair hearing that all will be pleasing. Otherwise, they still have a chances to appeal at the further court. So it's just been a drama that's been very unnecessary, especially at this time in our dear nation that is grappling and battling with all kinds of insurgencies and all kinds of terrorism, taking place and people being terrorized and lives being lost, left, right, and center without us showing any form of, being in charge. I mean, the present administration showing, to be in charge and copying all of these things. It's only, it's much desire to hear what the court would finally say in the end. Let's watch and see what that outcome will be. But I feel Nigerians have spent so much time on this Udaga and Akpabio matter. Nigerians want better representations and better law makings so that the laws that are being made will reflect in tandem to what we really need as a nation to move forward.
Absolutely.
That's what we're expecting.
I think also Nigerians want closure on these things. So we keep our fingers crossed to see how this pans out. But Chijoke, let me take you quickly to the Niger Delta now, where a River State High Court in Port Harcourt has sentenced Damian Okoligwe, a 400-level petrochemical engineering student at the University of Port Harcourt, to death. This is ominous, right? To death by hanging for the murder of his girlfriend, Justina Otuene, a 300-level biochemistry student. Look, this is like double jeopardy. Now, Justina is dead. Her murderer, convicted murderer, is going to die by hanging, like the court has just said. And these are two bright minds, scientists, potential scientists that are just going to go like that. What do you make of this case, Chijoke?
Well, very unfortunate. In fact, when the news broke out, I think it's about a year now, it's even good that this conviction was rounded up with regards to the court processes. And I think the court wouldn't even need to drag this case for too long because of the evidences that were provided then. This is actually a very unfortunate incident that we do hope should have been serving as deterrent to our Nigerian youth of today, especially the motive that was said to be behind it. You see, it's unfortunate that the Nigerian politicians who are meant to be role models, reflecting what it is to work hard to achieve and rise in the society, have rather become what we now call Yahoo boys and women, whose only display is abuse of political office and unexplainable sources of wealth that is put out there on display without any commensurate show of what kind of taxes they pay to the Nigerian entity. It's one of the things that has lured these young individuals to believing that taking the life of another could actually translate into multiplying their own wealth because all they want to do is to become rich overnight. that was said to be the motive then. I don't know what indeed. I haven't studied the judgment to know what was in the course of cross-examining the perpetrator, to know what was his motive in killing or taking the life of this young innocent lady. It's very unfortunate too that our society is witnessing this level of killings, especially with the knowledge that each bright mind is exposed in terms of being within the four walls of the educational environment. We should be able to think differently and see life differently. If it was an individual we refer to as core illiterates who have no or little knowledge of what it is to understanding, with regards to real life experiences, one would say yes, they are acting out of ignorance. But in a situation where people who are within the four walls of education are perpetrating this kind of mindless acts, one would begin to wonder what our dear nation has become today. Yeah. This was something that we never ever imagined to degenerate to this level. It's very unfortunate and heartbreaking that these two young souls, although the perpetrator has just been convicted,
very unfortunate indeed.
Just like the current administration pardoned, we had a lady who actually committed also a grievous murder by killing her husband with knives, multiple stabs, was pardoned by a sitting president. Who knows whether the governor of the state will pardon him one day, or a sitting president will come in as part of the Christmas bonuses, pardon him. But it's very unfortunate. As a nation, we're having this. We shouldn't be having this killing, especially how we are brought up in that part of the world where we value human lives.
It's a very unfortunate one indeed. Thank you very much, Chijioke, for being a part of this discussion. Thank you for being a part of the News Hour. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Okay, moving on. Elsewhere, youth in Anambra State under the Anambra State Town Union Council Youth Wing have commended the Independent National Electoral Commission for improvement in the conduct of the November 8th governorship election and other polls in the state. They expressed their appreciation in Awka during a visit to the resident electoral commissioner, Queen Elizabeth Agwo. Correspondent Sochima Promise reports.
3 weeks after the Anambra State governorship elections, Anambra State Town Union Council, led by Comrade Ken Okoli, have joined the growing ranks of groups and individuals applauding the peaceful conduct of the polls. According to Comrade Okoli, credible polls excite the youths as it bolsters their belief in the system and the future of younger generations of Nigeria. He particularly praised the maturity and positive disposition of the resident electoral commissioner towards free and fair polls.
Then even the last one, the Cuba election, under their very watch, went successful. In fact, the election that is adjudged today, the fairest, transparent, credible election in this country, conducted even under a new leadership in the country, in INEC, witnessing such election. It's not only a thing of joy to us, but it's also something that we use to tell story about elections being conducted the way it should be.
While appreciating the youth group for recognizing her efforts and that of the commission, Agwo reiterated her zero tolerance for electoral fraud. The resident electoral commissioner expressed happiness that no glitch occurred as over 97% of the results were uploaded on the IREC real time. She attributed the success to the immediate past and present leadership of the commission.
We had 97.8% upload, no glitch, because INEC was determined to make it right, and we got it right. No single person takes the glory, but the first person that takes the glory is the Almighty God. INEC Anambra, we began to fast from January, we began to pray from January, we began to ask God to give us the grace to get it right, to make us make Nigerians proud. faith in the Almighty God and our chairman.
Highlight of the visit was the presentation of play to the reg by the Anambra State Town Union Council leadership. Sochima Promise, Voice of the People Television.
Oh, she's the one there.
Sochima, thank you so much. While on the foreign scene, President Donald Trump has condemned the shooting of 2 West Virginia National Guard members in Washington, D.C. as an act of terror. Specialist Sarah Beckstrom was killed, while Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf remains in critical condition. The suspect, Afghan national Ramunullah Lakawam, entered the U.S. in 2021 under Operation Allies Welcome and is now in custody. Trump has responded with a series of immigration measures, including a vow to permanently pause migration from all third world countries, saying he will make America totally safe again.
We now move on to business. The Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission says 50 oil and gas blocks will be offered to investors during the 2025 petroleum licensing round. The Commission announced that the bid round will begin on December 1, following approval from President Bola Tinubu. In line with the Petroleum Industry Act 2021, NUPRC will hold a pre-bid conference in Lagos on December 17, with roadshows scheduled in Dubai, Singapore, Beijing, and Houston in January 2026. The agency said the licensing round aims to boost upstream development, attract investment, and expand Nigeria's hydrocarbon reserves.
Well, in sports news, Galatasaray president Dusan Özbek says striker Victor Osimhen is expected to be fit for Monday's Istanbul derby against Fenerbahce. Osimhen has been sidelined since Nigeria's 2026 World Cup player final against the Democratic Republic of Congo, missing Galatasaray's last 2 games. Özbek confirmed the striker will be included in the squad for the derby.
Up next is entertainment news.
Welcome to the entertainment news. Legendary Nigerian musician Innocent Idibia, popularly known as Two-Face, has revealed that his son, Nino, is not interested in following in his footsteps as a musician. Despite being a talented saxophone player, Nino hopes to become a medical doctor, his father said. The African Queen Krona made the revelation while bringing Nino on stage at an event in Abuja, celebrating his 25 years in the music industry. Nino is also a model and a social media influencer. Moving on, turned musician Young John has unveiled his highly anticipated sophomore album, Blue Disco, a 21-track project. On Instagram, he described the album as a deeply personal of collaborators, including Nigerian heavyweight Wizkid, Rema, Ashake, Olamide, and DJ Tunes, as well as international acts like Jamaican singer Shensie, French rapper Frangley, and South Africa's Focalistic. Finally, in entertainment, the Force Criminal Investigation Department in Lagos has arrested a syndicate involved in movie piracy, and other cybercrimes targeting Nigeria's creative industry. FCID spokesperson Aminat Meyegun said the arrest follows a petition from Film One Entertainment after its film Owambe Tips was illegally uploaded to TikTok on August 23rd. The prime suspect charged viewers 1,000 naira for the pirated film, edited scenes for TikTok, and distributed copies on WhatsApp. He admitted selling to more than 50 people and pirating other films, including Farmer's Bride, Thin Line, and Alakada. Bad Bougie. Investigators found pirated movie files and receipts list on 2 seized iPhones and after its film Owambe Thieves was illegally uploaded to TikTok on August 23rd. The prime suspect charged viewers 1,000 naira for the pirated film, edited scenes for TikTok, and distributed copies on WhatsApp. He admitted selling to more than 50 people and pirating other films, including Farmer's Bride, Thin Line, and Alakada, Bad and Bougie. Investigators found pirated movie files and recipe lists on 2 seized iPhones, confirming widespread distribution via WhatsApp and Telegram. And that's it for entertainment. I am Precious Agumano.
Precious, thank you. And that wraps it up for us in News Hour. But before we go, a quick look at the headlines. We told you that President Tinubu has set up a committee to roll out new tax laws.
Also, Appeal Court dismisses Nnamdi Kanu's case against DSS and AGF.
Appeal Court also reserves a judgment in Akpabio Apochi-Duanga's case.
Uniport student gets death penalty for killing girlfriend.
Troops killed dozens of terrorists and arrest 57 and rescue 45 victims.
Army promotes 28 major, 77 brigadier generals.
On the foreign scene, Trump stops third world immigration after guard murder.
In business, NUPRC opens 50 oil and gas blocks to investors.
Well, in sports news, Galatasaray confirms Osimhen for Fenerbahce clash.
And in the world of entertainment, Two-Face says his first son, Nino, is not interested in following his footsteps.
Do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel. On YouTube, we are Voice of the People TV, and other social media platforms, we are at VOP TV Live. If you witness news happening near you, we want to hear from you. Send your eyewitness reports, event coverage requests, photos or videos directly via WhatsApp to 0814 606 4057. You can also reach our newsroom by email at news@vop.ng. I am Vivian Oguche.
And I am Nenna Ndomdioto. Thank you for watching.
Do you want your voice to be heard? Do you know that you matter in the scheme of things? The People's Voice, the show where ordinary citizens take center stage as we discuss the biggest stories that affect you and I, with you in mind We facilitate lively discussions, debates, and interviews on the topics that matter most to you and I, from social justice to economic empowerment, education to healthcare, governance, and more. Tackling tough topics and amplifying your voice. Join the conversation and make your voice count. The people's voice. Make your voice count. The red carpets, awards, the razzmatazz, music, fashion, interviews, and more. Spotlight on Voice of the People Television. Let's feed you with all the juicy stories in the global entertainment space, bringing you the glitz and glamour as it is hot. Stay tuned to Spotlight, 1 p.m. Monday to Friday. Spotlight on VOP TV. Entertainment like never before. To know the happenings in the maritime sector, join us on the program Maritime Frontiers